My husband is an engineer. I'd rather be caught dead on a sales call with some sales guy that's trying to sell him something. He would never do a live
So
demo
true.
with someone with him. Like, it's not going to happen.
This is pure gold, I
Right.
almost lost the thought of what I'm going to ask you next because it's just so valuable. Welcome to CXO Spotlight, powered by Flywheelr. I'm your host, Chirag, and today we are diving deep into what actually works for early-stage startup marketing with someone who has lived it in every angle. Our guest is Andrea Palten, VP of Marketing at TechStars, one of the world's most selective startup accelerators, from journalist to hands-on marketer, coaching Olympic athletes on their brand story to now being one of the tech's most sought-after marketing mentors. Andrea helped shape the go-to-market strategy for hundreds of early-stage startups across TechStars' global accelerator programs. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Hello, Chirag. Thank you so much for having me.
We are honored to have you here. Andrea, as someone who now helps shape marketing strategy across a Stars portfolio with 700 to 800 new companies joining in 2024 alone, is that right? What patterns are you seeing in how early stage founders approach marketing?
Yes. So TechStars is awesome. I love working here. I've been in marketing my entire career, over 20 years. And like you said, started in journalism and accidentally fell into marketing. And one of the things that happened to me, I started my own company and I fell in love with entrepreneurship. And I helped other founders with their marketing. I had courses, I had consulting. And then I just got stuck. I'm like, this is where I want to be. And then I found myself at TechStars through somebody that worked here. And they told me about this fantastic organization and the position. And so now I'm probably at 1,000 something startups that I've helped in my career. I also worked in an agency helping startups. So yeah, I have a lot of experience. I love it. I want to help people succeed. And at TechStars, we are all over the world. So I get to do that. I get to help founders succeed. We have over 40 accelerator programs in about 30 plus locations. And you're the first person I'm telling this to, really. We have a new product. It's called Startup Community Partnerships. I'm not going to go into details of it, but if somebody is interested in starting a community in their own area and they want help from TechStars, check us out. Go to our LinkedIn. We're talking about it a lot there. And we're also, you can contact me directly and we can chat about it a little bit more. And what that's going to do is that we're going to even help more startups in more communities. So super exciting about that. And then you were asking me about what happens when founders start their marketing and what they should be doing. And one of the things that I think about is literally how a lot of founders approach marketing actually incorrectly. So I don't want to start negative, but it is the main thing that I have learned in helping founders for the last 6 years.
No, this is what this conversation is about. I think I am an early stage startup founder. And if anybody can do me a best favor, it would be to tell me what we are doing wrong. So please, we'd love to know more.
Yeah. So I would say the vast majority of founders that come to me for help, about 80% of them, all they care about is performance marketing, sales performance marketing. So they go out there and they do it and no one wants to buy. And they're confused. Like, why are they not buying? So then I come in, right? I look at their website. I look at their email marketing, if they're even doing any. I look at their social media. That's kind of dead. And their website says nothing. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they do. I don't know who they serve. I don't know their value proposition that people are supposed to buy from them. It's like blank. And I'm just like, wait a minute. How are you selling if you don't know your own brand? If you don't have a brand identity, if you don't have a story to tell? So that is something that happens so much. It's really like surprising. That was the first thing I was like, how do you not know this? This is 101 of marketing, but I've been in marketing so long, right? So that's how I think. And so then there's a 20%, a lot of them that only do brand marketing. They're not selling. They're not getting leads in. They're doing nothing. They're going to die. So what I try to help founders and what I tell everybody, you have to have a mix of performance marketing, lead generation, sales, and brand marketing, identity, storytelling, talking about your target audience's pain points and what is your value proposition to get to those pain points. A mix of these is the golden goose, the golden egg that founders need to do in order to really position themselves correctly.
Okay. And it makes sense because a lot of founders, they build a great product, but as they're building that product, they don't follow a certain strategy which flows down from customer onwards, right? So I totally relate to what you said, balancing the brand marketing at both. I mean, just last 2 years itself, we cannot have a conversation without saying AI in there, right? So as a marketer who helps early stage founders, how have you seen this thing change right in front of your eyes just in last 2 years?
Yeah, founders have gotten better, but I still see it all the time. But AI is really the thing, right? Because before we had to do everything by hand. We had to write our own proposition statement, our own values, our own everything. We had to just come up with it on our own. And now with Gemini and ChatGPT and all these AI tools, there's one specifically for marketers called Jasper. It helps you. And so what I've been doing with founders, I teach a class that teaches you what to say on your website. And in that class, again, they say these crazy things like, I sell green bottles. And I'm like, well, how does that help the person? Like, what is different about your green bottle? How is it better? What is it doing? Why would anybody buy your green bottle? And so we literally start with taking that sentence, putting it into one of these AI tools, and then saying, this is why this green bottle is better than competitors' green bottles. And then we say, write us a statement of what this is. And it usually comes out beautifully. Most of the time, you still have to edit it, right? But it is a starting point. And it's such a simple tool that a lot of founders are still not using, but the ones that are, and that's been the big change from 2023 and now, you can tell the ones that are using this. You don't have to go take a class. You don't have to go spend hours or money on a writer. You can do it on your own now. And so that's why
So
I feel
true.
like, yeah, a lot of like the founders that are with the times, understand how to use AI, they can do this stuff on their own. But again, more than anybody, a lot of the stuff that comes out of AI is not so great. You do have to mess with it on your own afterwards. It's not something a lot of times you can copy and paste. Like the basics are not that great. So that is something that I always tell my founders. And then the other thing that is a big change that I feel like a lot of founders are not taking advantage of is video. I mean, since 2023, the amount of video that we're seeing everywhere, it's just crazy. And I feel like people think it's such a big deal to do a video. But you know what? You can take your phone. You don't need to buy expensive stuff. People want to see real stuff anyways. And one of the things that I always recommend is maybe look at video as one thing. So you can do one video and you can record yourself saying whatever you need to about your product or what you're selling or what you're doing. And then you use that as your hero asset. What I mean by that, if you have this video, you can get text out of it. You can get quotes out of it. You can do imagery out of it. You can write a blog post about it. So you can repurpose this one thing. And then you don't have to do a lot of work, right? You just do one asset, repurpose it in all the different things and all the different channels. And you can literally, from one video, you can work for 1 to 3 months of marketing, social media posts, and all kinds of stuff. So
this is pure gold. I
yeah,
almost lost the thought of what I'm going to ask you next because it's just so valuable in terms of how actionable this is. And this is so relevant in today's time because I open LinkedIn and I see video feed. It almost looks like TikTok. At first, I was like a little bit turned off. But then I thought that it's the economy that we live in. This is attention economy. And if video is that thing that grabs that attention, then we have to double down on that. But this repurposing thought processes is super good because one content piece then becomes the genesis of so many used in so many different channels. Awesome advice. Now, I will ask something that is close to my heart, which is that following the change that you just saw, right, from 2023 to now, most founders have one common challenge that you would know before I even say it, which is when trying to generate early demand with very limited resources. How do you do that? Everybody wants to hit a product market fit, has a limited runway. You have done it. I did my research. It's about the 400% turnaround in terms of how you generated so many leads by mentoring founders. How do you do more with less?
yes, more with less. Even big companies have more with less nowadays. So I understand that pain point. And I love this question. But before I go into the boring, how to do a product marketing fit, let me tell you a story. Okay. So I consulted for an AI company and they did chatbots. So basically the chatbot on the website, right? This was a while ago when they were kind of still like new. And the audience was both marketers, because sometimes in certain organizations, marketers are in charge of the website, and also engineers, because in other organizations, engineers are in charge of the website. So they came to me and they were like, I don't understand. We only get marketers to buy this. We don't get engineers. So we think this is just a marketing tool. And so I was like, wait a minute, let me look at it. Let me see what's happening. So on their website, they had a demo, and the demo said, give us your information, so right email address, so we can give you a live demo. The marketers were like, yeah, sure. I'd love to see the demo. I'd love to talk to somebody live. The engineers were like, I'm not doing it. So my husband is an engineer. Rather be caught dead on a sales call with some sales guy that's trying to sell him something. He would never do a live demo with somebody with him. Like, not going to happen. So my husband is an engineer. Rather be caught dead on a sales call with some sales guy that's trying to sell him something. He would never do a live demo with somebody with him. Like, not going to happen. And so I was like, okay, guys, you need to know, this is the product market fit. You need to know your audience. If your target audience is marketers, they're like me. They love to chat. Let's get on a call. Sure, this is great. But now you're looking at engineers, and I'm stereotyping, but a lot of engineers are introverts. They don't want to talk to people, like my husband, right? So for them, they don't want that live demo. So let's just do a quick change. So we still had the demo on the website. You had to log in, or you had to give them your email address to see the demo. And then you got to self-select. I'm a marketer. I want a live demo. I'm an engineer. I'd like to see a video. No person, nothing live. It's a recorded video. And sure enough, what happened was engineers started filling out this form. Engineers started being the leads, because now they were getting what they wanted their way. They wanted to see a video without a person. They didn't have to talk to anybody. And what happened? Engineers started buying. So this is such an important thing. They didn't really understand their audience. And therefore, they were going to leave this entire target audience behind and just concentrate on marketers. And they would have left so much money on the table. But now, just because of this one small change, because we studied the target audience, they were able to make more money with multiple audiences. So it's so important to understand the product marketing fit. And I always recommend this process to every founder. It's called the lean product process. There's 6 steps in there. So 1, determine your target customer, which this company clearly didn't do, right? You need to know everything about them. Number 2, you need to identify underserved customer needs. Like if you're selling something that everybody else is and you're selling it the same way, it's going to be really hard. What are some customer needs maybe that aren't being sold to that much? Or maybe they're not selling it correctly. Like, really figure that out. Then define your value proposition, right? Why are you better? Why is your company better? Why is your product better? And then specify your MVP. So MVP means minimal viable product. So specify your MVP feature set. Like, what are you selling? What do you have? What's in there? Then number 5 is create your MVP prototype, right? That's what you're going to be selling. That's what you're going to be showing to people. And then number 6, test your MVP with customers. And then number 6 can go any which way. If you have a little bit of money, you can really go out there and do some big testing. If you don't have any money, ask your friends, ask your relatives, but make sure that they tell you the truth. You really want them to be able to use your product and to give you honest feedback. A lot of times people will be like, oh yeah, I'll send them a survey and then they can fill things out. No, I'm sorry. Get on a call, talk to them, do a Zoom, look at them face to face. If somebody says, yeah, it was good. On paper, that was good. Sounds positive. But if I'm shrugging my shoulders and saying, yeah, it was good, you can tell my body language, oh, it wasn't good. So it's really important when you do that customer research at the end and you talk to your customers in person to really see what was good and what isn't. So that's what I teach all the founders that come to me.
This has got to be my favorite answer. I'll tell you why. Because whenever I ask a marketer this question as a founder, that how do we increase our leads? How do we increase our performance from what we are doing? I hear another tactic that I should use and pay for. Rarely do I hear about what can we fix that we are already investing in. Many times I get answers about changing our ICP altogether or changing about the channel we are investing in. How about a new appointment setting opportunity? I haven't heard a story like this before where somebody said that what is the buying behavior of your audience, or if your ICP, your ideal customer profile, do you even understand that? And by changing something like a website demo that they already invested in, and just changing the booking link to that demo, right being there as an instant gratification, you got more traffic to respond to it without asking for any new investment. So that in my opinion is got to be one of the best value answer that finds value within what the investment is already. I think that's great. And while we're at this marketing spend topic, right? How should founders think about marketing spend during the product market fit phase? Specifically, what I'm asking is what metrics actually matter at this stage?
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on, right, how big you are, how much money you're spending, if you're spending any money. But there's like a couple that I always look at. If you're spending money, customer acquisition cost, the CAC, as it's often called. You want to know how much it costs to get a customer. You need this when you talk to investors to get more money. That's one of the first things they want to know. If you are doing ads or you're hiring marketers and stuff, how much is it costing you to get a new customer? Once you have that number and you really, really know that number, you can literally put a scaling plan together. So that's like the holy grail number. Then you have customer retention rates. And this also depends on the product, right? But if you especially have a service or you have upselling, cross-selling, or a membership kind of thing, you need to know if people staying. That also shows you, is your product viable? Do people like your product? So that's an important one. And then user engagement. We can look at the example of social media, Threads, that new social media that Instagram created. People aren't really engaging on there. It's a dud. And so if they were just looking at how many people came, that was successful because they automatically took Instagram users and forced them into Threads. So the number is great, but the engagement is what they need to look at to see if people are actually interested. Then customer satisfaction, just talked about that. Really understand what your customer thinks about your product. Again, do eyeballs, get on a phone call, get in person even better. Revenue growth, obviously, that's like a given, right? Is your company growing? Is it not growing? Are you selling? And then finally, market share. And I do have to talk about market share a little bit if it's a localization play. So we have a lot of founders that come to us and they're in Nigeria or they're in Germany and they are like, oh my God, I want to be international. I want to be everywhere. I'm going to start in America. I wouldn't do that. I mean, if your product is only for Americans, sure, of course. But if it's an international product that anybody can buy anywhere, start in your region so you can get to know people around you. You can get to know your customers. You can really figure out, if I'm in Germany, that I get my Germans to use this product, do the customer satisfaction surveys, talk to them, see how they're using it, invite them to your company, make them use it in front of you so you can really understand like what's good about this, and then start going to all of Europe and then start going to America or internationally. So I think that's something too that a lot of times we'll just tell founders, hold your horses, try to get a smaller niche, a smaller group, or a smaller location first.
Got it. We got our basics right. We know what metrics to measure, right? We get that. Let's get tactical about demand generation for a second. When you're mentoring early stage founders who are trying to balance limited marketing budgets with like ambitious growth that they commit to investors or within themselves, what's your framework to helping them prioritize well? Like what to prioritize?
Yeah. I feel like this is really hard for a lot of founders, right? Because some people have money and they can hire people. So you really want to make sure you hire the right demand generation team, the right people, or the right person. A lot of them don't have that money, and if they're really early stage, they need to do it themselves. So you have to really figure out, okay, what can you do with your resources that are limited? So we talked earlier about video, for example. If you hate to be on video and you just don't have the time for it, you can do a podcast. Or you can write a blog. You can do something for free that you can then repurpose, like we talked about, and you can get leads in through that. And so the way that I look at marketing, and all of us can look at marketing the same way, is the three buckets. You have paid marketing like advertising, and then you got earned marketing like mentions in news articles, like get your local paper to write about you, get other people to talk about you on social media. And that earned marketing doesn't cost you anything. And then you got owned marketing. And I tell all my founders, start there. It's for free. That's your website, your social media, your email marketing. So start with your owned marketing. It doesn't cost a little bit for the setup, but it doesn't really cost that much. And really hit that hard to establish your brand. So you can do a podcast like this. You can do videos. You can do all kinds of stuff, and you can get leads in the door. So for example, a lot of the people that I have worked with, they're really early stage and couldn't hire anybody, couldn't pay for advertising. So we just started with a lead magnet. We put together something that could be a demo. It could be maybe the 10 tips on why an AI chatbot is the best thing for you. And then you give the email address to get this PDF. You can make it really small. You can make it bigger. You can do a podcast like this and make it super crazy in depth and then sell it, not sell it as in money, but sell it as in give me your email address and then you're allowed to watch this podcast. So there's so many different ways you can do lead generation, and then you just nurture those people via email and sell, sell, sell. Again, a big thing that's left on the table, I don't see a lot of founders do this, is a welcome email series. They came to you. You better be selling them in that welcome email series. Usually I do 3 to 5 emails. And the very first one says, oh my gosh, thanks so much for getting the lead magnet or whatever it is, like the PDF, or thank you for doing the demo. Buy. Just get the people out of the way, the ones that want to buy, let them buy. And then you explain second, third, fourth email, the values and why this is better, and talk about their pain points and how you're the solution. Sell, sell, sell. So that's for free. And then once you have some money and you can hire somebody or you got some investment in, then you really want to hire a marketer that is not too creative, that they can sit on both the performance and the brand. Your first marketer shouldn't be the most creative person on the planet because they're going to be sitting there in content land and they're not going to think about the leads. So you want someone that understands performance marketing and lead generation. And that person, think about them as a little bit salesy, a little bit marketing and creative, and they can do all. They can do your content, they can build your brand, they can talk to journalists, and they can also do lead generation, demand generation, and run ads. Ads have gotten more expensive, but Google ads, they're still not that expensive. Facebook, Instagram, so Meta ads, still not that expensive. So there are platforms you can really for cheap still run ads. So that's my recommendation. Start with the owned, free, earned, free, then start doing the paid ads. But either way, you got to get started immediately.
Super. That's the right priority order. And I'm going to use that as well, because I think we ourselves have a couple of things in wrong priority order. So I learned a bit about it as well. Now, what's your advice for founders who feel pressure to compete with well-funded competitors? Because it's a very competitive landscape from marketing spend perspective.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't look at your competitors. Only look at them to learn. Don't look at them. And especially the big beasts, right? They're going to make more money than you. Most people make more money than you. It's just the way it is. You're going to really hurt yourself, your self-esteem, if you just keep seeing them climb. Look at their examples and the work that they're doing, sure, but don't compare yourself at this point. It's too difficult. You and I have talked multiple times, Chirag, and I love what you're doing. I feel like the conversations I've had with you, you know your stuff, your product is amazing. So I actually want to turn this around. I want to flip this over to you. What are you and what are you guys doing at Flywheelr when it comes to marketing and demand generation?
So first of all, we are a bootstrap company. So we don't have unlimited marketing budget to spend on it. And we can't just buy our traffic to get leads, right? So we make this up by understanding that as a growth stage startup, we have a better understanding of our customer than many big players. So what we do is that we figured out 3 specific pivots, if you will. And me and my co-founder always joke about it. Is this any strategy that follows from there? Is it on those 3 pivots or not? Which I think a lot of other founders can use. Number 1 pivot is that we obsess about our target audience and where they spend their time. Where exactly they spend their time when they're forming opinions. Because awareness is our bread and butter right now. We're not looking for conversion. So we figured out LinkedIn was the space where B2B buyers of C-level execs are spending their time. And then the second pivot we figured out was that who do they believe can solve their problem? What it would look appropriate from. So we believe that people want to buy from people. People trust people. So me and my co-founder both started building our personal brand, and that's the service that we sell. So we have to eat our own food, if you will. So second pivot was that we will build our personal brand and tell the story in a way that I will tell my customer's problem in the most excruciating detail, better than they can explain it, so that they feel that connect and resonance with us. So now we are doing it the right channel. We are doing it in a way that builds that connection of storytelling. And I get you. And the final pivot is that we write content that gives you the solution in a way that you imagine that problem could not have been solved in a better way. A lot of big companies will try to solve that problem with so much tech, so much AI and the whole shebang of solving the whole process. But we believe people are looking at their problems in a way that, can I just fix this part of my friction point? We can't solve for every friction point. So our third pivot is that solve the most painful friction point. So focus on LinkedIn, do personal branding, and then focus the friction point that pains the most. And in our case, it turns out that most of our buyers, which are C-suite executives, are spending time on LinkedIn, and they are checking out thought leadership and they want to be a thought leader, but it's that they don't have time and they're not great storyteller and they can't do back and forth with, and they're a storyteller, but they don't have the access to time to tell that story at times. An internal marketing team or ghostwriters, what they have, oftentimes chase them for the whole approval. And we built a platform. We have great storytellers and then we have the platform. So we solve this friction point of, I don't have time, but I want the best storyteller, but I don't want to run around, give you approvals the whole time. And that's what Wheelr does. So we're trying to just focus on very limited pivots and try to work that. So 80% of our leads today come from LinkedIn, just from the personal brand of myself and my co-founder. It's not a lot, but that's our starting point of how we're trying to solve for it with very, very less money.
Yeah, I love that. And the big thing, I think you are doing it, because I've seen it a little bit when I'm on LinkedIn, that you're telling the stories about your success stories, because that's all people want to know. They don't want to know really about Flywheelr and how it works until later. They want to know, did CEO of IBM use your tool and did they get much success out of it? And then you tell the story about how much success they got. Right? One of the big things that you said, the pain point, time. That's the biggest thing. Time for all the C-suite. I mean, they never have time to do anything. And so for them to have this kind of product that what Flywheelr has, is just amazing, because then they don't have to think about it. Somebody else does it. You guys are doing it very personalized. So I love what you guys are doing. Just make sure that you tell those stories, those success stories, on your own posts, so you can sell and not just help other people out in their
We're
own.
trying to, we came up with this cool idea. It's somebody, one of our customer told us this thing that, hey, you are one of the best storytellers. Sometimes I get goosebumps when you tell my story, and I see it coming through that somebody gets me so well. It's a very, strange feeling of somebody writing so well for you that you get that feeling. They said, why don't you put a trust wall on your website, a trust wall on the website, which shows that social proof of what you are able to create, so that you never have to explain yourself that what you do, how good you do. And we took that idea and we're launching that very soon. So I absolutely take that point, what you just mentioned. But getting back to our topic, one thing that stands out about your mentoring approach that I've seen or I have researched is helping founders tell the customer stories effectively, what you just told to me. How do you help them uncover and articulate these stories in a way that drives, actual business results? How do stories drive business results?
Yeah, so my background, I actually went to school for journalism. I worked for CNN a little bit. I worked for Channel 2 in Denver. And so I had to ask questions, right? And so I still do that. Like sometimes, even when I go out to dinner with my husband, he'll like, stop asking so many questions. It's just innate. I ask a lot of questions. So the thing I do with founders is like, I'll ask them, like, why did you start this company? Where did this come? What was the feeling when you started the company? And there's these stories that come out that they've never said publicly. They didn't put on their social. They didn't put it on the website. And these stories are amazing. I'm not going to go into examples, but there's tons. And so storytelling is so very important, and people overlook that a lot. Funny enough, I don't like to tell stories about myself either. And it is actually a little bit difficult for me to talk about myself, but I can talk about other people's products. So you really have to be comfortable talking about yourself as a CEO if you are the face of the company. And you have to be comfortable about bragging about your product and telling the story where it came from. Stories is everything. There's an example that I love because for me, there's a company called Square, right? And they do credit card processing. I can't think of anything more boring for me than credit card processing. And Square did this marketing campaign that I was just like really, really into, and it made me cry. It was so good. They really understood storytelling. So all they did is they took 12 of their users, the Square users, and they were entrepreneurs, they were founders, and they produced a series of 12 short films about each one of these people. These were people all over the United States, and they all had some kind of really cool, uplifting theme to it. And so the stories, like the one that stands out to me, It was called Sister Hearts is the name of the company. And it was a former prisoner. She started and a secondhand goods business. So she was selling secondhand stuff just on a street corner. And that grew. And then she also had like an actual store. And then she started employing only other incarcerated women. And the story of the people's lives that she changed and what she did, and she was using Square to get money, was so impactful. I always remember Square and I always remember the story. That is the beauty of storytelling.
Wow.
You can look at your customers, you can look at yourself, you can look at your product. There's a story somewhere that you haven't uncovered yet. And once you tell those stories and you get somebody like right in here, right in the heart, you get it in the head and the heart. If it's emotional and if it's memorable, they'll remember your product.
Yeah, it's, I read somewhere that decision-making process is rational, but decisions are always emotional. And that's what stories do, right? So it is a powerful story, actually. But as you're doing marketing and demand generation, right? How should founders balance storytelling with demand generation in their early marketing efforts? How do they do that?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it goes hand in hand. If you're doing demand generation and you're selling something, if you're doing it with an ad, or if you're doing, like I said earlier, getting lead magnets, just a lead generation, you do it with the story. You can have the story in the ad, right? So you need to balance them immediately together. So that is just something that's like vital for storytelling. What you're not going to just tell the story, right? You want something, right? You want either their email address for a lead generation, or you want their money and you want them to buy your product. So to me, that is just basics, hand in hand.
Awesome. So, and as we are building these, early in the days, we have to build a community who believes in our product, right? How crucial is community building for early stage founders? And you discussed about TechStars this a little bit earlier, that you're helping them with that. So I think it's, as an early stage founder, I totally relate to it. You need your early champions, you need your early community, but what's the right way to approach it? Because you've seen it with so many founders that have come through the whole program.
If you can go into an accelerator like TechStars or YC or any of the other accelerators out there, you have an automatic community. So it's really nice. It's like, that's the easiest way. Getting in, extremely difficult. It's more difficult than getting into Harvard, but that is the easiest way. You have mentors, you have people that know their stuff, you have other founders. Like, for example, a lot of the people that go in our accelerators, sometimes they'll end up like being co-founders, or they will be like, wait a minute, I got a product that complements your product. We have the same target audience, but we're not competitors. Let's use each other's email address, right? So they're building this community of people they're helping each other. And not just buying and selling, but also mental health, understanding like what it's like. I mean, being a founder is lonely. You're on your own. You can't really talk to your direct reports about your problems at the company without scaring them. Who else are you going to talk to, right? You want to talk to other founders. You can't keep going telling your partner all about it at home. They will get upset. So you really have to find other founders. So you can do that, right? Community building just for your own sakes, your own mental health. And then there's community building to get people to buy from you. So there's this founder that I work with. She's amazing. I love her. And her product, she sells it to other female founders. So what she's doing right now, she's community building. And so she did a WhatsApp group of founders, women that are in that state. They're just helping each other and talking to each other. But she's the organizer. So she gets them together. They meet up. They do happy hour together. So people will know what her product is and they will buy from her because they trust her and she built this community. Then she's building another community on LinkedIn in the groups. Then she built another community in Facebook, and it was bigger. It was a global community of women founders. So she's building these communities. She's giving something away, right? She's giving away communities.
Yeah, you can give.
And then she's also getting back because people are going to buy from her. So she's so smart. She hasn't spent a lot of time on it, and she doesn't have any staff to do it. She just chats and throws in questions every now and then that people answer. And she's just doing such a phenomenal job. So communities are important every which way, to sell or for your own mental health. So definitely recommend that. Most local organization or local areas will have like some kind of founder communities. I live in a small town and we have one. So definitely look those up. And if you don't have something, look online. I'm sure there's all kinds of places you can join for your industry or for your location.
I think great advice. So let's do something fun now. We'll do our rapid fire round. It's a short round and I'll ask you some questions, hot takes. You can answer in one word or one sentence, your choice. But this has got to be quick. You have to think quick. Ready? All right. Most underrated marketing tactic for a pre-product market fit.
That is figuring out what your customer wants. And I'm cheating because we already talked about this, but it's so important. You need your customer satisfaction. You need to know what they want. That is the most important thing and the tactic that you need.
One thing founders should do even before thinking about marketing.
It's very similar. Understand your customers and their needs inside and out. Really look at what it is that you're selling and how that is going to help drive value to your customers.
All right, here comes my question in there. Most effective way to build credibility in difficult market when you're just starting?
It's so hard. I am going to go tell you about a company called Snapseed. It's one of our founders that is doing a great job. And they're building credibility by always being on LinkedIn, as you know how important LinkedIn is. And they do videos and they will just be like, this is the journey. This is how we started. They went through TechStars. They talked about TechStars. And then they said, we got our first customer, and they did it on video. And then now I don't know how many customers they have tons, but they're just literally like, okay, we got this customer. Let me tell you their story. We got this customer. And so the credibility there, similar to your trust wall, right? On their website, they have all the videos of their customers. And then they keep talking about on LinkedIn how more customers bought. People trust that and they're going to buy from them too.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite trend. We follow it as well. It's called build in public. You build in public, you form that bond. So awesome. All right. Best use of a founder's time in first 6 months.
I'm going to be so boring. I'm literally going to tell you the same hits for everything, but I'm going to talk about it until I'm blue in the face. Get to know your customer, their pain points, and what value that you provide for them.
Okay. Most overlooked resource in accelerator programs.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of accelerator programs, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get investment and I'm going to learn stuff. But really the most overlooked resource is the other founders. You're not alone. You've got people with you that are going to help you. Again, a lot of these people find new companies together. They're co-founders. They help each other out mentally and emotionally. It's just something that's really, really important in accelerators. And then my personal thing is mentors. I love our mentors. They're amazing. So they give you so much feedback, but definitely other founders.
Super. What a lovely conversation. Well, thank you, Andrea, for sharing such practical insights for early stage founders. Your frameworks around customer discovery and data-driven decision-making are invaluable. I'm going to use it myself as well. But for our listeners who want to learn more about TechStars or connect with Andrea, all the links are in the show notes below. Stay tuned for more conversation with leaders reshaping technology and business on CXO Spotlight, powered by Flywheelr. Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks so much.
To catch more such interesting conversations, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music.